Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today, I grabbed a whole bunch of acrylic supplies. I have some Meeden paints that were sent to me, so I'm going to use that. I have some acrylic paintbrush set from Meeden, so I'm going to kind of bust into there. I don't want to use my oil wood palette, so I'm going to use this disposable palette from Meeden, which is just non-porous paper. And I don't know what brand this guy is, but I was just going through my stuff and I had a lot of surfaces that were 9 by 12, but I've been kind of lacking in the 9 by 12 frames. So, you know, if it comes out good and I have the Omelette Fest coming up in 2 months, I would like to frame it, you know, as one of the paintings that I have for sale. Let's see. Oh, I also have 2 mediums, or at least additives that I want to use. The first one, you'll have to forgive me for the name of it. It's a retarder. That just means, you know, to resist or to slow down in that aspect. You know, it's used in physics, the name and all that stuff. So it's an additive for slowing the drying time of acrylic paints and mediums. And this one, do not use alone or as a painting medium. Thoroughly mix no more than 1 part retarded to 6 parts paint. Always test for your application. I'm going to add that directly to my mason jar, and I have it half full, so I can't imagine there's many ounces in there to begin with. So I'm just going to pour some in. We'll see what happens. Let's just say that's enough. It does feel like a lot though that I just put out. And then this is new to me. I've used the other one in the past. This one is a wetting aid. I might be holding it too high, and whenever I crop it, you won't be able to see it. So let me go back and show it right here. But the wetting aid, concentrated additive for reducing surface tension to water and for stain painting. Okay, always dilute with water before use. Do not use alone or as a painting medium. Dilutions can be added directly. Okay, dilute 1/4 of a fluid ounce to 8 fluid ounces. We definitely have less than 8 fluid ounces there. So I would think it would almost be like a quick squeeze. Let's see. Oh, there's some plastic on the inside, I think. I believe I got this one off of Amazon. I'm not sure where I had gotten the dry slower. But that was like last year whenever I was working with some acrylics. That should be more than enough. Okay. So, today's painting. I realized I didn't have a picture prepared. So I pulled up a tree line photo that I had taken. Here's the Meeden set that I'm going to use. We have the Prussian blue, cerulean, deep green, pale green, burnt sienna, Mars black, titanium white, yellow, lemon yellow, mid yellow, yellow ochre, scarlet, and crimson. I'm going to grab the yellow ochre and the raw sienna. Sorry, the burnt sienna to start things out. And, you know, from there, let me start putting things in place. Actually, you know what? I want the mid yellow because it kind of pushes red and the orange. We might do a golds and green composition with this one. If I grab, thinking about grabbing a little bit of red to mix into the other so we can see what happens. And I'll put out some white. Okay. Now that we have that out, and I'm mixing my water thoroughly. I have 2 jars of water, one for washing the brush and the other one for the water that I'm going to use with the chemicals added. And I have my Waterloo, which is my naturally flavored the seltzer water. Not sponsored by them, but I've just been loving it. It really just has been great for getting off of soda. So, anyway. And as always, I can't promise this will be good, this one, but you're always welcome to follow along with anything that I do. You have my express permissions to sign your own name. And from there, you can sell anything you want when you follow along. You have my permission for that. I want you guys to have fun and have money for art supplies. I never tried like wetting the surface for a canvas, but I want to see if that wetting medium does make it feel like watercolor, and if it does any sort of wet and wet effects. I have my earbuds in, just a heads up, and I'm listening to music, but I will be commenting on everything that I do. All right, more or less water on there. I'm going to start out with just that mid yellow, so we can kind of see. In the past, I used like a thinning medium, and I believe I got it from Hobby Lobby to thin things out. It's kind of strange with the acrylics, with looking for information on them. People say that don't use too much water. You get an unstable film after that point of using too much. And then other brands say that they've experimented with like 1 to 100 parts of water, and there was no issues. So I'm not sure. All right, it does feel a little splotchy. Definitely not drying right away, which is what I want. I want to be able to move stuff around. All right, I think I'm going to cover this with that yellow. So then we'll dry it. It should be not affected by the next layer. So we'll start with a yellow base. All right, I think that should be good enough. I did grab a chip brush, which I use for oil painting, and figured we could use that for texture. So I'm going to pause the camera. All right, so I'm going to go kind of tonalist approach. I'm going to grab the deep green, and I'm going to mix that with the red that I put out. So that's going to create a brown. The deep green kind of looks phthalo greenish. Let me lift it up to show. Oh. All right, kind of a soupy mix. Let's see how this winds up going about. Because with oil paints, you're going to be able to wipe back, usually to the surface. But with acrylic, if they start drying, we won't have that opportunity. I'm wondering how this would go if there was just the retarder in the water and not in the not the re-wetting, the wetting agent. Bring this down a little bit lower. Start creating some ground texture. A little bit lower. All right. Oh, I meant to mention with the dry off, I was using a blow dryer, and because of how thinned out it was, it moved around like water. So if I was to continue that, that's something I just have to watch out for and hold the dryer further away. All right. Let's wash this brush. Definitely staining pigments used. I'm going to hit it with a blow dryer. All right, I'm going to grab a filbert. I used to use filberts all the time with oils in college. And I want to do whitewash. Sorry, not whitewash, white. I'm so used to saying whitewash. Wow. Let's do some yellow ochre. Kind of like a cream color. Okay, pretty close to that background color that's already there. Let's see if we just go pure white or push pure white. We'll have our light source come from this region. Okay. I think I want to transition to some yellow or maybe more of a gold. Here's burnt sienna mixed with yellow ochre and lightened up with white. Might be easier to kind of scrub in like this. Then smooth out. Burnt sienna with white. That's kind of pure burnt sienna. I think a bigger brush would have been better for this idea. That yellow mixed with burnt sienna. Okay, that starts to give us like kind of a goldish. That's what we're going to probably wind up using for foliage to get a glow around the edge of things. Okay, cool. I'm excited to see that possibility there. Just kind of put some of that gold in place. Let me switch to a broader brush. Okay, I'm liking the color that's being coming through with the combination of what was pre-existing, the mix of the red and the, I'm going to just call it the phthalo green, and then placing the mix of the mid-yellow and the, what do they call this red? Scarlet red. I wonder if it says what pigment it is. PR21. I don't know red pigments, so that's just something you can kind of cross-reference whenever you're ordering or buying paints. Let's even pass it over this. It starts giving that greenish tone in spots. All right, let me do a dry off. All right, so the nice thing so far is that this medium that I'm using really allows it to thin out. And I think what gives me issues with acrylic is that it paints, thickly and kind of opaquely, but it dries so quick. So it has potential aspects like oil paint, but then the drying time is what makes it more difficult to control because of how quick it dries. So, that being said, this might be the happy way to start things off, especially if I, add acrylics back into the rotation. I'll bring that white over here, starting, get that transition. They have these small, I don't know if you call it like a spot or a round brush. Probably a round brush. So, let's see. White with, I'm going to explore the lighter yellow, lemon yellow. Alright. I'm going to put a little bit of red in the scarlet. Hope that's strong. That's not working. I'm going to go to the burnt sienna with the mid yellow. I'm going to do a mix of the green and the red for a dark. I'll start planning out my shadows and darker spots. Okay. I think there's a fan brush in this set, which, oh, there it is. It's popping out. Oh no, that's not the fan brush. That's the even wider brush. Let's see. There we go. Start to get texture ideas in place. Let's see. Can't really make marks with the back of the brush on this consistency. Yellow ochre with a little bit of burnt sienna. Yeah, because we become redder as we get closer to the foreground. So I'll let some red. I'll put a little bit of that burnt sienna here. Oh, washed my brush in the wrong one. But do a dry off. I want to kind of treat this like a watercolor oil painting, or my approach that I normally use. So I'm going to grab the widest flat that they have, and I'm going to grab some of that, let's see, the mid yellow. I'm going to wash that over everything. And I feel like just doing this, I do this in watercolors. I feel like this stage, especially when kind of going tonal, really does help pull everything together. Wet it down, pass over the whiter spots. All right, blow dryer. Okay, let's go back to that filbert. And I believe this will kind of be a back and forth additive and not subtractive, but just pushing back and forth with the pigments to build it up. A little bit of that mid yellow. Might be worth putting out this green. It might be too green. Yeah, that might be a little too, well, we'll roll with it. Like light coming through. We catch a brighter green in some spots. Just need to start putting a path in. Okay. Let's go mid yellow. Deep green. Deep green. I'm going to add a little bit more form to the foliage edges. Okay, then rinse off and let's grab yellow ochre. Let me bring up a object behind it, a tree that's a little bit higher up and in the distance. Okay. Grab one of these thin brushes. Tone this back a little bit with some white. Okay. I need to create something interesting in here. Let's go that green with the red, scarlet red. A little bit more red in it. Get this pop forward a little bit. Burnt sienna. All right, let's do white with yellow ochre. We'll use this to start putting the path in place. I'm gonna put a little bit of the light yellow in there to kind of get a little bit of warmth when we come closer. All right. Let's grab some yellow ochre for our dirt along the edge. Patches of dirt. All right, we can get a little bit of mark making. I'm painting a little bit thicker now. All right, bright yellow. The yellow lemon yellow. Okay. That light green might be a little too much that high up next to that yellow. Seems to work more mellowed down here. Dark mix. Here's burnt sienna with that dark green. A little bit browner. Let's get around the dark marks between the grass and the dirt. Well, let's pause for a dry off. I'd like to do another wash of the yellow over the whole painting. I think it'd probably be in our best interest to make that yellow right in here. Yeah. It's just the white doesn't really give us what we need. All right, I'm going to pause it for a dry off. All right, I'm liking the direction this is going in. I want to mix some yellow ochre with that light yellow, lemon yellow. Just passing that mix around. yellow ochre. I'm trying not to wash it in. I'm trying to apply it in kind of like a impressionistic type way of spots. And I'm debating grabbing some black. Here's some, I'll do that. The reason I was debating it because it will kind of push things a lot darker in spots, but I can mix that with my yellow ochre or my yellows to get a green. So let's do that right here. More of a brown green, but mix a little bit of black in. Start identifying forms a little bit better. Here's the yellow with the black. Slightly different than the previous. Which is nice to get the little variations in it so it's not the same color being used all throughout. Even though I use like the yellow to pull things together tonally. Here's the mid yellow with a little bit of black. All right, looking at that yellow. And I'm going to put out some fresh yellow. I'm kind of out of it. All right, here it is straight from the tube. You can see definitely the change in the opacity and covering strength. The yellow ochre that I put in this background for dysentry, put that in stronger. Might be worth putting a blue to mix with this to create a little bit of gray. Let's grab, I'm going to put out crimson. I'm definitely going to use the medium here to water it down. Might need a bigger brush. Just gonna grab this guy. I'm gonna grab some of that mid yellow. Definitely changing the time of day with this one, making it look more evening. I'm just gonna spread this out and smooth it a little bit better. I know I put the background like a far distant tree in, but I think it's might be best just to leave it ambiguous. Let's see. Okay. Put out some more mid yellow. I'm gonna put a little bit out on the ground. I'm gonna pull green. Here's the light green in the foreground. Maybe it was the dark green that worked better. Yeah. Yeah, I think that helps with the uniformity. All right. Some water. Put out some fresh light green. I think it'd be fun to start putting a little spots of light green in here. Okay, it's a little too low. Looking to form on the inside, but also kind of keep that yellow edge. Mix a little bit of red into it. I'm going to mix the crimson. So I can kind of darken it a little bit. There we go. All right, I think we're headed in the right direction. Let's grab a little bit of that dark green. Looking for hard edges and soft edges. I think that's one of the things that kind of separates probably more romantic period stuff versus the tonalism. I'll have to look in detail to see if that's true or not. Bit of green in here, that makes that good. I want to darken right on the corner. I don't want the eye to go off the page, no, off the canvas. Okay, let me mix my green with my crimson, my light green with the crimson. Looking for a brown mix. This would be nice for little tufts or little bits of shadow. I want more of the deep green. Okay. I need to dance some dark things like that right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do burnt sienna and that dark green. And let's, like, it could be little shadows, little leaf litter, little rocks, little twigs coming up. I just want it to be a little bit of a mark. Compositionally, I think I'm messing up right here because it's just creating this even space where we have the two objects. But if I bring it up above, it might help. Let me see if it'll let me wipe it off. Yeah, okay, that's the better way to go. So I'm going to grab green, start cleaning that. Yellow ochre would be fun right in here. So light coming in, maybe it's catching a little bit of yellow ochre. That dark mix. Switching to the filbert for yellow ochre. I'm gonna mix some white. I gotta get some more white. Actually, let's mix the lemon yellow with it first as a lightening agent before going to white. Yeah, there we go. Let me look at it through the camera, see how we're looking. I think we'd benefit from mixing the dark green. I might have to put a little bit more out. And I'm going to mix it with, the pigments are starting to dry up on the palette now, so it's kind of like hard to figure out what to mix it with. And I hate wasting paint, so that's kind of one of the other things about acrylic that I personally have issues with. I'm going to grab the round. I'm going to grab the mid yellow. So I think right in here that would look great. Okay. Grab a dark mix. Dark green and crimson. Let's put that in line right there. Okay. just working to darken this spot to make it the most contrasty point. Okay. There we go. Little bits of tree trunks and branches showing through. Okay, dark green with that crimson. Just I guess with the medium it should flow easier like this. I just don't have the steadiest hand. Let's see if I can kind of dry brush. There we go. Might be a little too dark right there, but that'll just add a little bit of variety. The light green. Let's do, oh, it's not clean enough. Light yellow, the lemon yellow. That creates a glow around these. You can have a little bit of glow on this side. I like coming here. I want to create areas of yellow. I might even have a little right here. Cover some of the black with the lemon yellow. See, yellow ochre mixed with that lemon yellow. All right, let's do a dry off. All right, now I'm kind of just doing really final touches. Grabbing more yellow to put over this spot, just to add a little bit more. Yeah, I think that helps. I'm looking at it through the camera, seeing what could be adjusted. Dark mix. Okay, darken it up. Grab a little bit of yellow. All right, I'm going to pause for a draw. Want to yellow this up more. So I'm putting out some fresh yellow. And I'm debating doing an entire glaze, but let's at least just glaze there. Hey, Ham. Go in the window, bud. Sorry about that, Hammy's. It's right here. Sorry. Hammy, come on, go in the window. Hammy, this is wet paint. Let me pause the camera. All right. Okay. Oh. Ah, that's fine. All right, let me wash this off. I'm going to pause the camera and hit it for one last blow dry. All right, and there we go. I signed it with a brush. Hope you enjoyed. I'll be back soon with more videos. Please like, subscribe, follow. And you all take care and have a great day.